Hello.
Hey.
Welcome to the FSF Popcast live show.
The button wouldn't button.
You're really out of practice and you've got some really good pain medication, so we'll forgive you.
The button wouldn't button. It's not my fault. It's like this show is brought to you by the White Stripes. This is the hardest button to button.
Oh, can we talk to Jeff? That'd be awesome.
That would be a really cool interview. Some Michigan people talking to some other Michigan people about whether they were or were not married. You know, it'd be fun. Yeah.
Hiding records in the furniture, you know.
That's right. Exactly. Anyway, kids and cadets, welcome to the FSF Podcast. This is the Live at 5. We are talking to you today because today is the end of an era in Star Wars animation. Realistically, this is, as John's name tag says there, the Clone Wars are finally over. Because we've had the Clone Wars, we've had the Bad Batch, which ended today. Today was the series finale. So if you haven't caught on, as it says down below, there are going to be some spoilers about things that happened throughout the series if you're not completely caught up. And especially if you did not watch today's episode, there will be things that we will talk about. We're not going to go in-depth scene-by-scene style breakdown, but we are going to talk about things that did happen in today's episode. So you're going to want to know about that heading out. We'd love for you to stick around. If you have any comments or thoughts, please put them in the comment section. We will do everything that we can to get your comments up on screen, and we'll talk with you as well. So, yeah. Well, it's going to give me the thumbs up. Give me.
Nope.
Can we do it? Oh. Just jerk. Anyway.
You only get one.
Sad face. Anyway. All right. So, like I said, today we are talking about the Bad Batch. We're talking about the season 3 finale. This is the series review, the series finale. And so, yeah, we're going to have a whole lot to discuss here very shortly. But first, we want to remind you that this show is made possible only by the support of our show partners, Storylines, TCT's Nerd Merch, Level Up Sabers, and of course, Monkey Cult Coffee. We have information down below for each one of them in the show notes. Give those buttons a click. Check out what's going on. You guys have some really cool stuff waiting for you. So, I guess first and foremost, before we get into anything that's really story-oriented or anything else, just on an overall, how do you feel about the conclusion of the Bad Batch?
I was surprisingly not crying. Okay, because I was expecting a lot more death. And like
it is Filoni.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, he didn't kill off any more of the main characters. It was only Tech, you know.
Yeah.
And he stays dead apparently. Wasn't revealed to be one of the clone operatives.
Rude.
There went my theory, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, one of the operatives did have a visor that kind of looked like Tech, but you know,
not close enough.
Right.
Yeah, nothing where you could go, yeah, that was definitely Tech. Look at all the things that Tech is doing. So, yeah. Selfishly, I wanted this series to go on at least another season or two. I think there is well more content that they could have gotten out of this very, very easily. But on the other hand, I'm glad that they didn't, because even in Clone Wars Season 7, which is the pinnacle of, in my opinion, most of Star Wars animation, Clone Wars Season 7. Even in Season 7, we have filler episodes to just try to get you through. And I'm glad that we didn't get to a point with this show where there was just, you know, there was a couple here and there. I can't say that there weren't any, but there weren't the Season 7 where you're just like, well, and even in my rewatch, I have like 3 episodes I always skip because I'm like, they're pointless. They add nothing to the story. So,
right. It was very much, you know, a new Pearl Jam album. It's all killer, no filler. They didn't have to add 16 more bloated songs to it to, you know. Little too soon, eh? Anyway.
No, I got the hearts.
You got the hearts. All right. Kathleen's going to kill me for that comment later.
But yeah, no, I liked that analogy though. Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So, I guess, let's just jump right into it. We're going to talk about this overall arch from season 1 to season 3. All right, so let's talk about character growth of this group. We have the 5. We have the original 4 in Clone Force. Then we have the addition of Echo, And then Omega's like, yeah, I'm coming with you.
Very much the annoying little sister who just tags along
Oh, yeah.
at first.
Mom said you have to take me. Mom said you
Mhm.
have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you feel they did it with as far as character growth? Do you feel like they did a good job giving enough exposition to each character so that we felt
Yeah.
attached, or do you think that there was something missing?
You know, the two characters I think changed the most were Crosshair and Omega. I think it was
Yeah.
pretty much their season, and they both made huge amounts of progress as individuals,
Oh,
which
agreed.
was really nice to see because, I mean, Hunter was a pretty solid character. Wrecker is
My boy.
everybody's, yeah, exactly, everybody's goofy brother-in-law, and
Let's blow crap up.
exactly, he stopped aging at 12. Well, in his case, 2. But yeah, Crosshair's progression from being the absolute jerk to, giving Omega a hug at the end, that was huge.
He had one line today that really hit hard. Now he's made a bunch of mistakes. He's gone through all these things, and he's trying to send everybody else off. And he's like, I'll stay here and do this. It's what I deserve.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that one was hard.
When he was talking about executing Plan 99, which was the same thing Tech did last season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
It's what I deserve. I was like, wow, here's a guy who's come full scope. He was, good soldiers follow orders.
Mhm.
It was, then it was all whatever the Empire wants, that's what I'm going to do. And now it's, he's doing everything he can to protect Omega and his brothers. And yeah, for me, that was huge, especially, like I said, that statement really showed me the full, gamut of where, Crosshair had started to where Crosshair is now at the end of the series.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was, I think I agree with you. There wasn't much for us to see as far as character growth in Hunter. Hunter was Hunter. He was rock solid from episode 1 to episode, finale.
Yeah.
Wrecker, again, let's go blow some crap up.
Pretty much.
He's just a big old happy redneck, isn't he? I mean, he's just having fun out there. But God forbid you touch one of his family members. Woo-hoo.
Oh yeah.
I expected, we'll get into that part in a minute, but, but here, let's go to the next part. As far as, because it does really relate to this, we talked about, this a little bit in our overall view. Do you feel though that the way that they went into this episode at episode 15, and although this episode was 51 minutes long, so essentially this was episode 15 and 16 technically together as one, based on most episodes are 22 to 23 minutes long.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they rushed the ending?
No, I think they paced, especially this episode, really well. There was no downtime. There was no lag. By the time you're like, okay, but wait, what's going on with, they've already cut to those characters and you know exactly what's happening. So that, because with a lot of shows, and I know we've seen them and nothing really comes to mind at the moment, but there's the episode where it's like, oh, come on, can we just move on? None of that. None.
Oh, you mean Mandalorian season 3 with Jack Black and Lizzo? Yes.
Okay, that's actually a perfect example. Or certain parts of the Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, none of that. Yeah, it was we've got a time frame, we've got a story. These are the beats we need to hit. Let's go.
Okay, so again, selfishly, I kind of feel like as much as I wanted it to extend, and I feel like it could have, I'm glad that we did end it with a season 3. I just think that we should have had a couple more episodes. I almost felt like it was too easy for them to get into Tantus. I felt like, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more struggle to get in, for Omega to get out.
Yeah.
Not that I needed to see like a whole bunch with the Zillo Beast and what was happening with the Zillo Beast or where it was going. But on the other hand, we had a whole episode of it in Clone Wars. Why not one here? So just saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. On the one hand, I feel like this was the perfect place to have an ending to the series, the perfect way to have an ending. But there's still a part of me that thinks that this should have gone on a couple more episodes to really to strengthen it up and really, I the one part of the character growth and the story building I would have liked to have seen expounded on a little bit is the repair of the relationship between Hunter and Crosshair. Because although it really, I mean, they were working together, don't get me wrong, they're working together, but at the end of it, there's still a little bit of a fracture there, right up until the point where Crosshair is just like, does this is what I deserve, go away. And then it's like, I think that's at that moment, Hunter was like, oh, okay, we've beat him up enough. And then everything was fine. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more exposition on that, just a little bit more. I have that drawn out a little bit, but not. But the thing is, I also go back and go, okay, but how much do I want out of that? How much do I really need out of that?
Yeah.
For this moving forward. So it's kind of one of those 50-50 things. Is it good enough where it's at, or do I need more? And again, am I looking at this selfishly and how I would want it?
Right. And I think we got those moments like right there where Crosshair wanted to sacrifice himself, but then at the end where he is literally leaning on Hunter to make the shot.
Yeah.
Those tie together to show their relationship is repairing at the very least.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hold on a second. Before I show the next slide, I got to make sure I didn't do this right. No, I didn't. So we're just going to talk about this part without a slide because that's how talented I am. All right.
Look at you go.
I know, right? I'm excited too. All right. So let's talk about the future of the planet Weyland and Tantus.
So you read the original, or at least listened to the original Timothy Zahn novels, right?
Yes.
Okay. And reading a book with your eyes or listening to it with your ears, same thing. You're just using a different sense. I'm not trying to bash.
Same diff.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Thrawn, at least in the originals, used Tantus technology. He found the base. He started using their technology when he came back. I think that might happen again.
Mm-hmm.
We've got it set up that he's on his way back to the galaxy far, far away from the galaxy farther, farther away. And presumably he would have sufficient clearance to know where Tantus was.
True.
So maybe, just saying maybe.
No, I think that's probably a pretty safe bet. Now this is Planet Weyland. I had to go find an article about it because I wasn't smart enough to put it into my slides. But this is Weyland. This is Tantus. The base that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So a couple different things that I think are interesting about this. So this whole time they've been trying to figure out what Project Necromancer is, trying to figure, and they just know it has something to do with an M count. They don't know what M count is. They don't understand what it is. All they know is that Omega has one, and it's why the Emperor wants her, and it's why oh my goodness, the Hemlock. There we go. Why Hemlock is so interested in her. So I thought it was kind of interesting that at the end we have Tarkin saying to shutter this down because the base has been blown up. The storage information, all the research information has been blown up. Hemlock is dead, and they now shuttered the base.
Yeah. And
I think what's really interesting, there's two things that I thought were kind of cool. As one, as a little verbal Easter egg, and one as a just as a nod to what's going to happen in future episodes of The Mandalorian. So number one, he says, shutter it and divert all funding to Project Stardust. Stardust takes us to Rogue One and the creation of the Death Star.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool. And then secondly, Project Necromancer isn't brought up again until The Mandalorian. So now we have a very viable reason as to why, from the end of Bad Batch till the beginning, somewhere in Mandalorian, we don't hear about Project Necromancer again. So we have that window, and we have a viable reason as to why there's a window.
Yep. Also, we just haven't heard that story yet.
Right. And as you know, like we have said many other times, the only thing that helps Star Wars is to have more Star Wars.
Oh yeah, it's a great
Travis
solution.
Mitchell, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, bud?
Hey.
Thanks for checking in. Let's see. Travis says there's still the female scientist who replaces Dr. Carr, who's pulled out. Hemlock saying she'll be dealt with, so she's likely the reason Necromancer keeps going. Very valid point.
Yeah.
So there's some cool things going on there as to how this proceeds, where it goes, everything else. So I'm very excited to see how this transfers into whatever's coming next in The Mandalorian, because now we've seen bits and pieces of Project Necromancer throughout The Mandalorian. Where does it go from here? How do they ramp it up with Ahsoka and The Mandalorian, and now that Thrawn is back in Galaxy, and having some Night Sisters at his side. So this could be very interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, let's move on to character loss. So before this, it was just our boy Tech. He did a Plan 99. He clone forced himself. So
Too soon.
Probably too soon. Always too soon. All right, so seriously though, I expected everyone other than Omega to be dead.
And I think that was everyone's expectation to a certain point, and that might be why it didn't happen.
Could be, yeah.
It's like when your
Always
kids
trust the Holy Filoni.
Exactly. When your kids think they have everything figured out, you got to throw them a curveball just to keep them on their toes.
Very true.
And so I think that's what they did here, was they actually gave us a happy ending for once so they can crush us later.
Yeah, what the hell was that? I'm watching this thing and I'm going, oh, I'm like when I paused it right towards the end after Hemlock falls off the side, and I pause it to see how many minutes are left in the episode, and I'm like, oh, we only got like 3 minutes left. Here it comes. Here comes the big gut punch. I was like literally sitting on the edge of my chair watching this, waiting for the gut punch, only to be surprised very happily by the fact that we lost no other characters. We get to see Hunter as an old man.
We did lose an important character. We lost Scorch.
Scorch?
The clone commando who was with Hemlock at the end.
Oh, okay.
That was Scorch. So I'm playing Republic Commando currently again. So that hurt. That hurt a little bit.
I don't think that transfers as well as you want it to, but I get where you're going with that.
Sorry, it's my current relationship with the franchise. It's he's blowing stuff up and setting things on fire
I'm
for
sitting
me.
here going, Scorch, who the heck is Scorch? And why have I missed it? It's been so long since I played Republic Commandos. I need to play that again. That's
it's been like 6 hours for me. So
Travis says, I love Echo's arc. Starts out as part of the batch, but ends up ditching his headgear, regaining his white armor in hand. He was never meant to be part of the batch. They showed he could still be a reg.
Yep.
Yeah, I dig it. I love the fact that, and he was going to go off and work with Rex. So there's still a possibility we could see Echo at some point.
Yeah, because, last time we saw Wolf, he was still with the Empire, but we know he shows up in Rebels. So that's a story that we could tell later, and Echo show up.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see what's going to go on with Echo. I agree, Travis. He had a really cool story arc, especially when you look at his story arc, the way things happened at the end of Clone Wars with him, getting detached from all the computers and everything, and then being accepted so easily into the batch. I think it was perfect fit for him, what he needed at the time. So, but yeah, only Tech said we had to say goodbye to Tech, and apparently Scorch. So for John had to say goodbye to Scorch.
Yep.
It
was a sad moment.
So a sad moment had by John and John alone.
Sad moment at 4:30 this morning. Yeah.
The only big disappointment for me was Rampart, who was the most predictable outcome. So I was hoping they'd subvert it. Him reluctantly helping the clones to spite the Empire. Yeah, you had to figure that he was a weasel and he was gonna do what he could to protect himself. He was never in it for the clones. He was in it for himself, one way or the other, just trying to save his own skin. I was never happier to see somebody get blown up. So
In this series, yeah, I'll give it to you.
in this series, I mean, there's been other series where I'm like, yeah, that guy deserves it. But in this series, Rampart was a tool. He was just an absolute weasel from the very moment you meet him until he, right until he dies. But yeah, I'm glad he got a thermal detonator. It was good for him. He needed it.
Oh yeah.
But we also had a couple cameos in this season. The one that I was most excited about coming because I knew it was coming was Asajj Ventress.
Yes. She has hair now.
She has hair now. Look what they done to my bald lady. Now, for one, I feel like it was a wasted cameo.
I don't know.
I was hoping to see more. I guess I wanted her cameo to turn into something more than just a cameo. Because now the bow that Omega uses has always looked to me like something that the Night Sisters would have used.
Yeah.
It looks like a Night Sister bow. I was hoping that at some point that like Asajj was going to train Omega. Maybe not necessarily Jedi arts or anything along those lines, but at least some fighting tactics, and so that we'd see here's Asajj, here's Omega, she's got another mentor to look up to. That's kind of what I was hoping where this was going to go, showing a bit more of Ventress's redemption arc. We're seeing her with the yellow lightsaber. We know that she's no longer Sith bound, that she has found the light side of the Force, or is at least very morally gray. So, right. But I would like to have seen a little bit more out of her, just because I always thought her character in Clone Wars was really very so cool.
Oh yeah, she's one of the most awesome characters in that franchise. Always going toe to toe with Anakin. Just great character. But I have a theory, a Star Wars theory, if you will. Okay.
No, all right, that's how you get banned.
Sorry. So I think she's working as a bounty hunter, getting leads on these M-Count kids, so she can find them, take them to Quinlan and Gungi, and get them on the path to safety.
That's actually a really good thought, rather.
Yeah.
Because in Kenobi, we see, he says, "Oh, Quinlan was here."
Exactly. And there was that whole aborted story arc with her and Quinlan from Clone Wars that got made into a novel. So, and
I was kind of hoping that we'd see Quinlan somehow in the series because she was here now with the hair and the saber. I was kind of hoping that was the other part of it. Why I said it was a wasted cameo is that there was other things that they could have done with her in there. Let's see. Travis says, "I think we have a natural expectation that the characters brought into a show will pay off in said show. So it felt a bit cheap that Asajj, Cody, Wolf, Fee came in just to set up other projects." Yeah. I get that. Travis.
But that just means we get more Star Wars later.
Yeah, it just means that we're going to get more Star Wars later, and they're going to have to explain it more, because that's, of course, how we fix Star Wars. This with more Star Wars. There's that. So I as much as I was excited to see her, and I thought it was cool that A, she had hair, B, she has the yellow lightsaber. I thought that was really very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so Travis's comment talks about future projects, other things happening. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what comes next. Yes. Do we have live action adult Omega?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we get the equivalent of Clone Wars during the Rebellion, with her as the point of view character.
You think they're going to make an animated series with her as an adult?
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be logical the way that we see her leave. The Rebellion really needs a pilot right now.
Yeah. She could be working with Hera and Rex and, kicking Imperial butt.
That'd be kind of cool. Different point of view, having them work together.
Yeah.
Then that would also help because a lot of people could complain that, we don't see Hera or Rex, until these other live action series. And there's this big, gap window. So maybe that gap window can be closed a little bit.
Yeah.
If we're able to have a series like that, which I will always take more Star Wars animation.
And, if they're telling that story in that time period, there could always be a thing between her and Luke or her and Han, and Leia gets mad at somebody somewhere along the way. Could be hilarious.
Oh, Ella Purnell. Yeah. Too
Ooh,
soon to say, but
yeah.
I think the actress from the Fallout show would be a great Omega.
Yeah,
You know what? Travis, I would agree with that.
definitely.
I think that'd be a great fan cast. I'd be absolutely okay with that. Ella Purnell's a great actress anyway, so it wouldn't take much.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only difficulty would be is that the voice would have to be very specific. So
I'm willing to make allowances translating from one medium to another.
I am as well, but I'm just saying that they've also set the bar with the expectation because of Tim Morrison.
Oh yeah.
They've already set the bar that this is what they sound like.
Mm-hmm.
And they've carried that through the movies. So
yeah, okay.
I'm not saying that it has to be exact, but it should probably whoever's going to, if they do a live action Omega, it has to be very close. Not so much with the looks. I'm not the one that gets hung up with the looks because we have to allow for transition from animation to live action.
Yeah.
That's why with Kenobi, I didn't get all butthurt about the Grand Inquisitor not having a 3-inch wide head that was 12 feet tall.
Right.
I didn't care. He was a human. He's going to have a round head. That's just kind of the way it works.
Yeah.
So same with this. The looks don't have to be 1000% accurate, but the sound should at least be recognizable to where we go, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen would like you to know that dinner is ready.
Okay. I'll be out there in a couple minutes. Please don't eat my fries.
There you go. We'll get you out of here in just a minute so you can go have your dinner. Thank you, Kathleen. That was very kind of you.
I really appreciate everything you do, babe.
So, yeah. So I'm looking forward to whatever it is comes next. If it's an animated series, I think that's fantastic. And I would really, really like that. I would also like to see her. And if they do that, if they do a live action series, that would also set her up to where she could make a live action appearance and say like Ahsoka season 2.
True. That'd be cool.
Or something along those lines. But we'd have to see what's going on next.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's give this a ray gun rating out of 5 ray guns. Let's grade. I want you to grade the finale and the series separately.
Okay. The finale, I'm going to give it 5 ray guns out of 5 ray guns. And just because it tied everything up that it needed to tie up, it left enough threads that we can pick them up later for additional storytelling. But we can tell this chapter's closed. And
thanks, Travis.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate you stopping by. And just, it did a great job.
Okay. And the series overall?
Series overall, I'm going to say 4.5 out of 5 ray guns. There were a couple of spots where it's like, I'm not super crazy about this. A couple things I didn't think paid off as well as they should have.
Sure.
The relationship with Fee and Tech specifically,
she lost her boy goggles.
Right. And then we don't see her at the end,
Yeah. I just imagine she's somewhere on Pabu,
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So 5 for 5 on the finale, 4.5.
Yeah.
Kathy would like to say also before we're done, Tim was wrong. I was wrong. Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody lived. Everybody lived. This is an all life. Everybody lived.
Yep.
For me, the finale, I would give it a strong 5 out of 5. It was really well done. Like I said, I wish it would have taken a little longer to get to this point, but the final episode, like you said, they hit all the points. They closed the loops. They set up other things moving on into the future, which is basically what Filoni does.
Yeah.
The Holy Filoni sets it up really well. the whole series on a whole, I would give it 4 out of 5, just because in seasons 1 and 2, there's a couple filler episodes that are junk.
Yeah.
You don't really need. I wasn't crazy about the character of Fee coming in to begin with. I didn't really like the character. Never really understood why they brought her in. It just seemed pointless to me. But it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
So 4 out of 5 for the series, 5 out of 5 for the finale. Travis says it would require another time jump, but I'd like to see her meet Bobo while he's still a D-bag. And then again, after the Book of Bobo, attempting to recruit him to the New Republic.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'd go for that. I'd be down with that. Travis, thank you so much. Yeah, you've included a lot of nice thoughts in today's conversation. Using Price is Right rules, I was right.
She was the closest without going over.
She was the closest without going over. This is true.
Oh.
All right. So just very quickly, want to remind everybody that we are the #1 science fiction podcast on Good Pods. Of course, you can find us anywhere. But please check out our Patreon channel. That information is down in the show notes down below. You can get access to every one of our interviews every week, nice and early. And then on Friday, there's always some really cool bonus footage. This past week's interview had almost 15 minutes of bonus content that we added only for our Patreon subscribers. You don't get the rest of that cool stuff if you're not a Patreon subscriber. And there's some other stuff that are coming up. We're going to get back to our Stargate reviews here very shortly. We've had to take a little bit of a medical break. Both John and I had right shoulder surgeries. And so we're just now getting back to where we can use our hands again. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Travis says 3.75 for me. Not a great finale for the series, but a great finale for the Clone Force 99, which is the most important. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I can see that perspective.
I'm good with that. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And just as a reminder, we have some really cool Star Wars things coming up. Not us personally, but in the Star Wars universe. May the 4th, we have Tales of the Empire. And when that comes out, we'll be reviewing that show. We also have on June 4th, The Acolyte, which live action High Republic series focusing on the Sith. Very, very excited for The Acolyte. And then we don't know when it's coming yet. All it will say is that sometime in 2024, we're supposed to see the live action show called The Skeleton Crew.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious. I think that's probably going to be probably a Thanksgiving or Christmas time release that we'll see those come out, or possibly in 2025, right after the first of the year. I'd probably lean closer to that. So otherwise they don't have too many projects close together. I think they're going to try and bunch them out a little bit. But anyway, check us out. If you haven't already, please click like and subscribe. Producer John, any final thoughts?
I'm just really proud of the progress you've made in the last few years, Tim.
Well, that was all from Producer John. And
no.
Anyway.
No, when we first met, you got into an argument with a mutual friend of ours about Star Wars animation and how it was just for kids. And what's really funny is the episode that was airing that week was the one you're talking about on Growing Up Skywalker this week. I checked my GM notes. Yeah, it was.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Twin sons?
Yeah.
No way. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so I need to send that person a message and let her know how far you've come.
I've come a long way, baby.
Yeah.
And on that glorious note, goodbye.
Bye.
Copyright 2024 FSF Podcast. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Podcast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpodcast.com.